on? I guess we're on, huh? Here we go. Oh, it works today. Oh, first of all, oh, no, not that way. No, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it the other way. Oh, why don't we just do it like this? There's my tree. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, there we go. It's a little sparse. I went and looked for ornaments and stuff, but I couldn't find anything. So Leslie the little Plazz here with my friend Zazoo Plazz and my little Christmas gnome. And we got SpongeBob this week as the SpongeBob movie came out. Doesn't sound very, it doesn't sound like a kid's movie from what I've heard about it. SpongeBob is here, the original SpongeBob, not the AI CGI version, the real SpongeBob. And okay, so I'll get into that in a minute. Yeah, so Merry Christmas, everyone. It's not here yet, but it's the fourth Sunday of Advent. It's Thursday, so this is my official festive Zazoo Plazz Christmas report. This thing is driving me. All right, we'll get through this. Hopefully, we can get through this today. I'm losing my voice. I was out Christmas shopping yesterday. Oh, it was very unsatisfying and not much fun. What was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah, my tree. Yeah, I have a couple ornaments on there that I got from the house, but the other ones, that were from years ago that my Aunt Bunny used to make. These old, like she used to make cookie dough ornaments, and then she put them on everybody's, present every Christmas, which was cool. And she put glitter on there. She poured herself a big old glass of eggnog, and she'd make these cookies, I think I've talked about this before, but every year she'd make a different theme, she'd make a bunch of angels, and then if somebody died that year, she'd put their name on there, pets. She made one for my canary, Tweety, when he died, and then, is this going to work better? You hold it up to my mouth like this. Maybe that's going to work better, huh? Try it this way. I'll do it like everybody else does. We'll see. I can't hold my pen. We'll try it this way and see. So, yeah. This is stupid. I'm going to clip it on my shirt. Okay, there we go. Let's just get through this. I don't want to hold the damn thing. I'd rather hold my pen. So every year she'd make the ornaments, and sometimes she'd burn them, if she was having too much fun. She'd overcook them a little, so they were a little brown on the back, but they were fine. And then she'd slap some, she put some glitter on there, some glue and glitter, and they were very nice. And she did that many years, And so I have all these old ones, but they're starting to kind of fall apart, and I don't have any hooks, and I can't, the place where the hook goes, it's all worn through, so you can't hang them up. So I said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do about those. I may end up throwing them out, take a picture of them and just throw them out because they're all crumbling, And so that seems to be a common theme. Stuff that I want to hold on to, right? It's like in the first reading in Isaiah today, there's this king Ahaz, and his name literally means to possess or to clutch or to hold on to, right? I said, I do this. This is something I can relate to. Fourth Sunday of Advent. Also, the winter solstice. Here in the north, it's the winter solstice, and down there is the summer solstice. So, we got this going on. This is our longest night of the year up here in the U.S., Connecticut. Um, so it got dark at like 3:30 this afternoon. I I have a nice back door here. I have a front door there and a back door. So I'm making my morning tea, and it was like 3:30 in the afternoon. Don't ask. Uh, and the sun was already going down. I'm like, there's this, somebody walking on the path. It's getting dark, and they're all huddled all in black. I said, isn't that perfect? Earlier in the day there was a guy running, but then as the sun was going down, there was this black figure, all person all dressed in black. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. It was just a figure. So that's kind of the imagery that we get. It's the fourth Sunday event. It was always the week that they would light the last candle, purple candle. There's 3 purple candles and 1 pink one, and purple it's like a royalty, a color of royalty, of spirituality, purple, right? So there's this preparation for the king, right? Who's the king? Jesus. Um, so I think when I was 12 years at Catholic school, I know this stuff pretty well. So that's. I think that the pink year was it's different because it had a separate name. Um, Pink is kind of like a joyful color. And then so we have this hope. This third Sunday is all kind of, because it's Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, which is a planet of optimism, right? But this is the first day of Capricorn season. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is like, the shrouded. It's like death. Saturn is like hell. It's Saturn is boundaries. Kind of like wanting to. Saturn, Capricorn is the sign of corporations, right? Big business, big government, big authority figures, and all this, right? It's fearful. It's fear, right? Um, it's so Saturn in the chart, in the astrological chart, has to do with the things that that where you have fear. So just to set things up, and it's very serious. My mom was a Capricorn. She could be very serious, methodical person. She was not one for flights of fancy. She did not suffer fools. She did not have time for silly things. Now, as a kid, I grew up in a house where, mom was a Capricorn. She worked. They like to work. Right? I have Saturn in Pisces. So Pisces is like, the end of the zodiac. It's kind of like everything just kind of dissolves. And Saturn is trying to hold on to that. So there's this feeling of, Saturn in Pisces, our generation, like I think it was from like 1964 through like 66, somewhere in there. So if you're born in between, those periods, you have Saturn in Pisces, as well as Pluto in Virgo, Neptune, Scorpio, Uranus conjunct Pluto in Virgo. So these are the years, right? So it overlaps a little bit of the Gen Jones with Gen X people. So, and that's me. So there's kind of this, and that's the band that I'm going to pick. It has to do with that. And they say, the start of Gen X was 65. So if you're on either side of that, you're feeling that kind of, we just turned 60, the 65 babies. But we have things in common with the 66 and 64s. So that kind of plays itself out in subtle ways, but there's definite a boomer side and a Gen X side. That's kind of something I'm interested in, curious about, especially as we go on in life to see how things play out. So anyway, uh, serious today. I don't know, but yeah, I'm watching It's a Wonderful Life. It's on Amazon. I love that, and there's the angel in there, and his name, Clarence or something. Is it Clarence or something like that? He's the comic relief in that movie. He's funny. Uh, so but I love It's a Wonderful Life because it hits on this. Yes, Christmas is a very joyful time, but some people, can find it kind of a bleak time if they don't have if they feel that it, it's a time for taking stock of your life and saying, gee, am I on the right path? Am I living according to my values, at my highest potential? Or like, see, I have sun. Okay, the sun today is opposite my natal Jupiter. So sun opposite Jupiter. I looked it up and it said it's a time when you've got to balance your own personal needs versus others' expectations. It can be a time of you can get fooled by excessive optimism. And that's me. I take on too much, right? So that's what I did yesterday. Um, I get all my food, and I'm going to be cooking and making, my pretzel buttons for everybody. Traditionally, it's a time of year, the week before Christmas, we get to the solstice, and this kicks in. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh crap, we got 5 days left till Christmas, 4 days. And I would work myself into a frenzy. And then on Christmas morning, I'd be upstairs sleeping. This is what happens every year, right? So, yeah. We just said it. Moon, Capricorn, yeah. Venus is, right now it's conjunct my natal Venus. So at the galactic center. So, I get a lot of insights. It's a fortunate time for me, I'm feeling. But, it's also a time of so much forging ahead as to is taking stock of where I've been and where I want to go, and what do I need to do. It's a time when I'm thinking I need a sign, right? I need to ask where ask my angels and my guides. Send me a sign. Where should I be going? What should I be doing? Because sometimes you just don't know. You're in the dark. Literally, we're in the dark. And this has been a kind of a dark year for many people. A lot of things that have gone on recently, especially. I don't need to go into detail, but there have been some upsetting, things in the news. Take your pick. Yeah, so I talked about that. Yeah, so yesterday, okay, so I had this grand idea that I was going to go out and I was going to get all my shopping done. I just needed to pick up a few things to give, my kids and my dad, and just, usually I'd go and I'd get them a few food things. I'd get them something to eat, something sweet, maybe, something to do, and something warm to keep them warm during the winter. So I picked up some things here and there, and there's all these people out driving around. I went to my job lot. There's the cashiers, it was crazy. It was crazy. So I just ended up getting a few things that I needed, and then I went over to the other shopping plaza, and I hit the dollar store, and I hit the grocery store, and ended up getting some food things there, some like nice coffees and some candy and stuff to make my little pretzel buttons with the M&Ms and the Hershey Kisses. I make those every year. So then I thought, now I'll go over to TJ Maxx, Home Goods, get some, see what they have. Because last year I got my youngest son some nice hats there. I got both boys, like, some nice warm hats. Sometimes they have cool shirts, just socks, fun socks or whatever. So I walk in the door, and this lady says to me, "Look at the line." So I got my little cart. She's like, "Look at the line." So I see the line for the checkout. And it goes, it's like back at the store. So I uttered an expletive, and I realized, oops, did that just come out of my mouth? Well, people looked at me. Every time I go in that store, I get glares from those women. The the um the sad beige moms, with the nails and the hair, and then they get one look at me and my, you know, I mean, I was wearing this in my black winter coat, nice coat, but and then I have my LL Bean snow sneakers on, my hiking shoes, and they, in my bag, got my crossbody bag on, I'm ready to go, and I get these looks. These looks of horror. Don't you dare ruin the aesthetic of my shopping experience by coming in the store. You weird looking person. Usually I don't let that stop me, but I said, oh, hell no. Turned on my heel and went back out. Little did they know that I was Zazoo Plazz. I travel incognito a lot of times. Sometimes I have a hat on. I don't know. Anyway, about that. Oh, yeah. So I was coming out. It was sunny yesterday. So I'm coming out of job lot and I'm tired from all the people in the they were out of my regular cashews. I had to get a different brand, and they were out of this and that, and the other thing, and they're playing the Christmas music, and so I come out of job lot, and I have my hat on, and I tried to put my sunglasses on one-handed, and I hear crack. So I bought these for running, I don't know, a bunch of years ago, and so I thought, well, maybe I could just like piece them together, like this, and just because I went to Tractor Supply store, and I didn't find any there that they cut. These are just right. The new ones, they cut into my skin right here or here. So I thought I could piece them together and tape them just like that, just so I could drive around this week. I had places to go, and I haven't been able to find another pair, so I think I'm just gonna take some duct tape just so I can drive on the road and not get blinded by the sun, the glare. So anyway, we'll see. All right, Zazoo, get to it. All right. That one. Okay, that's as much as I'm going to talk about today, I think. I see that the nativity stable that our oldest son built in 2018 for his Eagle Scout project up at the church is still standing. We're still using it for the nativity scene. X sent me the picture. The dog flopped down in front of it. It's like a real nativity scene, except with a dog. Maybe there were dogs there. I don't know. Cats. Some people take the liberty of drawing them in. Their animal of choice. I don't think there was a Labrador Retriever Jack Russell mix at the first in Bethlehem at the first Christmas. That was a thing, but who knows? Maybe. Okay, so yeah, so Isaiah, the prophet. Here we go. King Ahaz of Judah. Now, I did some research about him, and he was not such a nice guy, not such a good king. He worshipped pagan gods, and he was known to. They said he sacrificed his sons, or he burned them as a sacrifice or something, which is creepy. Um, he didn't have a lot of faith, and so Isaiah went to, he was facing this situation where, you know, Judah was going to be invaded by, there was Israel and Syria had joined forces, and he was afraid that they were going to invade his country and that he was going to be dethroned. So, he's insecure about his future. So Isaiah visits him and tells him to ask God for a sign, right? He says, oh, he doesn't want to tempt God. So he's superstitious, he's fearful, and he thinks that God is going to, come down on him. He thinks God is kind of, vengeful, and it's a reflection of how he felt about himself. That's how we picture God is kind of a reflection of our experience. So he says, okay, must you weary God as well as people? So he didn't ask for a sign, so he gave him a sign. He said, okay, God is going to send, a virgin is going to conceive and bear a son, name him Emmanuel, which means God is. I think it means God is with us. I think that's what it means. Yeah. So yeah. So what he was saying, I guess in the short term, Ahaz's wife had a baby. So that was sort of a prophecy, short term. But long term, he was talking about Jesus being born as the Messiah. So, we talk a lot about, hear a lot about signs. And the Psalm said, let the Lord enter. He is King of glory. So, yeah. That the Lord's are the earth and its fullness, right? Founded it upon seas and rivers. You can only ascend the mountain of God if your hands are clean and your heart is clean. So, and you're not desiring what is vain. So that's interesting. I saw somewhere on social media today that said that the earth belongs to the billionaires or something. And I thought, that's, talk about vain. I mean, that is what somebody would think if they didn't feel a connection to the divine, right? That's how you view the world. That it belongs to the people with the most money. Well, maybe if you're in that world, but if you're in God's world, you know that earth is God's, right? Everything comes from source, from the divine. So, yeah, God is with us, as Emmanuel. Right, and the song that we used to sing in church was "Come, O Come, O Come, O Come, Emmanuel." This week we would sing it. So there's letter of Paul to the Romans, where he's saying he's a slave of Christ. he's been called to be an apostle to tell the whole world about Jesus fulfilling the Old Testament prophecies, um, and that also some to follow would hear these prophecies and also be apostles in their time, and work to, to get the word out for those who haven't heard. So and even today, there's people who are being called to tell people what's going on. So kind of like messengers. So then, see, the book of Matthew, Gospel of Matthew, has the birth of Jesus story, which I know by heart because I've been hearing it since I was a little kid. Um, about but my interpretation of it has changed as I've grown up, as I've gone along. Because when you're a kid, you hear, you kind of have an idea. Oh, that would have been scandalous if Joseph had. Although as Catholics, we weren't familiar with Jewish law and how that would have been in society at that time. It would have been shame. Joseph didn't want the people to think poorly of Mary. He didn't want to, but he's like, okay, so we're going to get married, and now she's pregnant, and what do I do? So he was afraid. He didn't want to offend God, and yet he didn't want to get Mary and to ruin her good name. He just wanted to kind of tiptoe away and wash his hands of the whole matter, right? But then he has a dream, so he asks for a sign. And in the dream, the angel comes and tells him, no, it's okay. It's all part of the plan. Go ahead. So, so he does. So, but, so here's two men here asking for signs. Joseph, who was faithful and did what God told him to, and then you got this other one, who was not as open to receiving, the messages. And then you get this image of people just being tired. It's the end of the year. We're tired of making decisions. We really just want to rest. But the year's not over yet. There's more to do, right? Because we have a week till Christmas. Less than a week now. So I found this song. Now, I haven't really known much about Pearl Jam, but they are, Eddie Vedder is the lead singer. And yeah. So, okay, so Pearl Jam was one of those grunge bands from Seattle, like Nirvana. But like I said, there was a mix. Nirvana was kind of all Gen X, and Pearl Jam was kind of a mix of boomers and Gen X. So Kurt Cobain was known to sort of have a little rivalry. He said he didn't like their band. He said Eddie Vedder was okay. I mean, they got along. But the band, he viewed them as kind of selling out to the whole corporate record company thing. And really, his his distaste was with the with the record company and the big deals and the whole thing that was not what Kurt Cobain stood for. He was about the music and being authentic. And he saw Pearl Jam as being too successful and too commercial. All right, so there was this song, but I mean I love both bands, and I grew up listening to their music, and I like both bands. So there was this Pearl Jam song, Let Me Sleep, It's Christmas Time, which came out. Now, it was the first annual fan club. They had this holiday, the tradition of sending out on vinyl holiday singles, like the Beatles did. So that's probably where Kurt Cobain. It, oh, that's such a boomer thing, right? Because the Beatles did that, so now they do it. This was released in 1991. It's the first year they did it, and so it's a good song for today. It's perfect. Uh, so because Eddie Vedder was born December 23rd, 1964, so he's within a week of being Gen X. So he's honorary, I think, um, really, because he's still 60, and I'm sick. I just turned 60, so uh, yeah, there's that. Um, so he had, but he was being born in a year ending with a 4, right? He's actually year of the dragon, not year of the snake. But that's 4 is yeah, I think fourth house. No, let's see. Well, I don't know. Um, they're more about like the traditional, right? They're meant the ones born in 64. They're meant to be within traditional organizations and do their work. So that's not, he kind of did what his peers in his year were comfortable doing, right? But Kurt Cobain, born in '66, I think, 6 is more of it's the healers. The uh, 6 is service, healing and health, all that kind of stuff. So you could see where there would kind of be a divide there. But Eddie Vedder, I did some research on him, and his real dad left when he was just a baby, and then he thought his stepfather was his dad his whole life. But then when he found out who his real father was, his real father died from MS, multiple sclerosis, and so he never got to really, have a real relationship with his dad. So, if you think about it, Joseph was Jesus' stepdad, right? And his real father was in heaven. So there's kind of a parallel here. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. So, the song, the lyrics are about listen to the wind. The cold wind blows on the soles of my feet. Got socks on. But yeah, so feet. Jesus was a Pisces, as rules the feet. This, and so you get this image of somebody who's homeless, which Jesus was born in a manger, in a barn, essentially, with animals, right? So, like live outside like a homeless person, right? So, away from home, lost, nowhere to go, right? Heaven knows nothing of me. Isn't that interesting? Heaven knows nothing of me. So, because Jesus was consciousness come to earth, he became a human, and he took on a human ego and all the persona and everything. Yeah, so that's interesting. And he says, as a kid, Christmas was magical. And that's true for us growing up when we did. Christmas was magical. He said, I thought you burned, not froze for your sins. He says, I'm tired and cold. Yeah. So I thought that this was interesting because, it is cold and dark. and windy outside. When we're doing this report, it's like 11:30 at night. Then I'm gonna go have my paleo hot chocolate. Then I gotta post my report and I got things to do. Go out for a walk. My lunchtime, so gotta go fix my broken sunglasses. Oh jeez. You know, this I just got my brand new. I had to buy an all new electric toothbrush because the battery finally died. Yeah, so it's one thing after another. I fix one thing, something else breaks, and then I have a new dilemma. I don't even know. What do you do with old toothbrushes? You recycle them, or I don't know. I'll have to find out. But anyway, here we go. I gotta get everything ready for Christmas. So since this is the last Zazoo Plazz report before Christmas, wishing all of you who celebrate very Merry Christmas, and you have a wonderful Christmas with your loved ones, and may Santa be good to you. Wishing you much, very happy. And, well, I'll be back before the New Year's. I'll do a New Year's report the following week. But just for this week, happy solstice and Merry Christmas. And wishing you all a magical Christmas. Till next week, same place, different time. Take care. Bye-bye.